When you look at, is there anything about Daniel that has sort of surprised you so far, that kind of like you didn't know about before you got here?
No, not really. You heard how smart he was, how hard of a worker he was, how good of a guy he is. That all was true. And then playing wise, nothing surprising there. Big, athletic, smart, accurate, throws a really good ball. Nothing surprising at all. It was what I had seen before with him coming out, with him playing in his first few years. Yeah.
We look at yesterday, we see, guys had trouble completing passes, right? It wasn't the best day for you guys, maybe for Daniel. We can't tell if it's Daniel, if the guy runs around, whatever.
Right.
So how do you look at that? How do you look at a day like yesterday? When you go back and you go look, it's okay. Say here's what went wrong. Here's what we got to do.
Yep.
What did you come up with?
They're learning experiences for us. Like, we're all growing in this offense together. So some of those are, maybe the first time he's seen the guy run that route, or the first time he's seen that coverage against that play we've called. So it's all a learning experience right now, which are good. They're good discussions for us to have. Hey, okay, now we get this next time, what are you doing? We see this next time, what are you doing? So those are good discussions to have. Right now we're about process over results. That's where we're at. We haven't even had a preseason game yet, so
At what point does that flip?
As we go
It
does flip. Obviously, it does flip. But right now, we haven't even had a live game against another team. The process is what we're focused on. Let's keep our process. Let's stay there, and let's go ahead and correct the things we need to correct.
Talking about the process, actually, Art Stapleton.
Yeah, how you doing, Art? Good to see you again.
Good, see you too. You talk about the process. I mean, when we always hear chemistry between the quarterback and the receivers, it's chemistry thinking that, we'll just go throw. I get the sense that, especially in this offense, it's also let's watch the film and see what the quarterback saw and then what the receiver saw, and how do you blend that together? How do you guys work on that?
Yeah, we go in and watch the film together every day, and on a certain route, Daniel's very vocal about, hey, I saw this here. Tyrod is too. Davis is too. All those guys are saying what they're seeing to the receivers, so then the next time we come out and they present us that same thing, boom, this is what we're doing. So that constant dialogue between coach to player, player to player, player to coach is there every day.
And it's really learning, right? Part of the is that part of the process that you're talking about?
It's part of the process of learning on the fly of, hey, this route, you got two ways to go maybe. And against this, you're going here. Against that, you're going there. And now the more we work on that, boom, we're on the right page together, And that's a constant dialogue between all of us, top to bottom.
And that's really one of those things. I would imagine that you get into live reps on Thursday night, you play a series. If you get one of those plays and it hits, it's almost like the light goes on.
That's where the process comes in. Like, that's why we're process over results right now, because if we trust that and keep working on that process, then it pays off in the game. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for it to pay off in the game.
Awesome. Thanks, Shea.
No problem.
How does Wink's way of running his defense, which is pretty unique in the league now, right? How does that impact your ability to kind of teach your quarterbacks during the week, considering maybe what you're seeing in practice every day maybe won't reflect really a lot of what you'll see in the majority of your games this year?
Yeah, I love it. It's a challenge every day we go against Wink's defense, which is awesome for us, because now we can have a lot of discussions against certain pressures, certain looks, what's our answer here against this. We can have those discussions now rather than having them in week 5, because that situation hasn't come up yet. So I think that's only going to help us. We love that challenge every day. We embrace it. So going out there every day is fun. It's fun trying to sort through all that stuff. It's great for us. Great work for the offense and the defense.
Does it also force Daniel to almost have to learn how to make his decisions quicker because you're just not going to have a lot of time to sit back there?
That depends on the look he's getting.
Right.
Some yes, some no. There will be times where he could sit back there and the picture's really clear and it's easy, and there will be other times where it's not, and he knows when to make quicker decisions and when not to.
And I know sometimes, or a lot of the time, you guys play through it, right? If a guy gets back there and, it would get blown down for a rush. Now, when you go into the meeting room, do you watching, all right, Daniel, in a game, you obviously have to get this ball out of there, but we want to still
100%.
run your tree. So how do you kind of balance those two things?
That's the balance of it. Is there are times where, hey, we know we would be maybe picked up here, so go through the read. And then there's a lot of times where, like, hey, we want to play this like a game. You got to go ahead and you got to move.
He is actually going to be unblocked. You got to
you got to go. You got to go. So we're working through that every day, when we watch the film. And that's becoming more and more a part of our thought process as we get to games.
I know. I just want to take an opportunity just to jump out ahead of it because I know everybody's got the same question. The incident yesterday, I take full responsibility. I'm remorseful. It can't happen. It won't happen again. I've apologized to the appropriate people, in particular Cam. I have to be better than that. It's not what we're looking for. And like I said, it's a regrettable incident that won't happen again. So I know everybody wants to know about that. I just want to jump out and hit it right off the bat so that everybody can kind of hear what I needed to say about it and move on from it.
Okay. Is that one of those things where you see your guy getting pulled and your head, it's instinct?
It's something that happens in football, and I'll leave it at that. It won't happen again. It can't happen again. So that's just where I'll leave it at that.
Is that the message you got from Dave, that it can't happen again?
He addressed it, and he made it crystal clear. So it's been addressed, and we're moving on from it. So.
How big of a concern is your tackle depth right now?
I think you always want to, you get greedy with that position. You want that guy to be basically a starter. Right now we got some guys that are progressing the right way, but it's an important role. So I think we're going to be fine. It's still early. I think we can't lose sight of the fact that we're going into the first preseason game. So I feel like we got some options, and I think those guys are going to have some opportunities to develop into that role. So I'm not worried about it, not yet.
Feliciano mentioned yesterday that, or 2 days ago, that Evan is adjusting to new techniques. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things you've changed that maybe he did in the past?
I think a lot of kids, especially tackles, set a particular way, and we set differently, just based philosophically on how we want to protect the quarterback. It's something that initially I think it was a combination of the different set technique and then going over to right, which he had been left last year, but he's making tremendous strides every day. So I think it's just something, he's very conscientious and works very hard. He's a guy that pushes himself. For me, my role with him is to make sure that he sees the positives and doesn't focus on the negatives. So he's working through them, and matter of fact, the scrimmage in the stadium was probably his best practice, but we all have higher expectations of him, and he is the type of kid that will constantly work toward those expectations. So he's doing a good job, really good job.
You touched on that in regards to the sets of your guys.
Yeah, I mean,
what's the philosophy behind that?
Pass pro is not passive. That's the message you want to send. In this league, it's all about the quarterback. The quarterback runs the show, and in order to run that properly, you got to be able to protect him. So we just have the philosophy, we don't want pass pro to be passive. It has to be aggressive.
You touched on it a little bit. I'm sure he's not used to having guys go by him in practices and things like that. How much mental assurances do you have to give him to make sure that his head isn't spinning a little bit?
Not many, because I think the one that everybody is addressing and dwelling on is the one, I think it was a second padded practice against Kayvon, and Kayvon ran by him. There was just a miscommunication there, because the first day in pads, I told the guys, be overly aggressive to set the tone, just to kind of throw a little fastball down the middle, and then to get them kind of thinking. And he didn't get the message on the second day, hey, go to your normal pass pro. So he got over aggressive, and the defense adjusted to it. So he hasn't had one like that since then. So he takes constructive criticism very well, and he does not dwell on too much praise. So I think he's got a really good temperament, and like I said, everybody wants him to be really good, but I don't think everybody wants him to be as good as he wants to be. So I think we got the right mindset going with him.
His run blocking seems on point.
I mean, he's the size of a bus. You get in the way of it, you're probably going to get moved. But the thing about it is we're constantly tweaking that too. He wants to be really good, and that's fun to work with every day. That kid that wants to be special. So.
Bobby, what do you want to see from the line Thursday that you want to see improved from what you see in practice?
I always want to see improvements in the use of the techniques, but more importantly, I want to see improvements in the communication and in just always ramping up high-level effort. So for me, I just want to see the guys communicate, and I want to see them to give max effort, and that won't ever change. I always want to see that stay at a high level from practice to practice, game to game, year to year. I always want that to be as high as it can possibly be.
You didn't really have Andrew for the spring, so what have you seen as far as him this summer?
You see a skill set that you understand why he was a high draft pick. You see a guy who's a professional day in, day out, extremely intelligent. He asks really good football questions. He asks really good philosophical questions as far as football, like what are we trying to accomplish here? And they're never in a negative or challenging way. It's he wants to understand so he can apply it and understand. He's a football thinker. And I like the fact that, too, he asks questions that maybe Evan hasn't got to in his head so that we can kind of get a jump start on him. So I've been real pleased with him on the field and especially in the classroom. He's what you want as well.
What kind of progress have you seen from Roy?
People got to keep this into perspective. Roy has put on football pads, I believe, 4 times. Roy's about to play in his first competition against somebody other than his own teammates. What he's doing right now is pretty remarkable. Even with some of the technical flaws or maybe just the lapses in understanding, it's pretty remarkable that a guy has never put on football pads is functioning in an NFL camp. So he just needs to learn every day. And the kid, I'll tell you what, he tries, he's smart, he works at it, he gives you everything he has every day. So that's all you can ask for out of a guy. I mean, I can't imagine what's going on in his head, I mean, he's been in the country, 4 or 5 months? I can't even fathom exactly what he's getting done. And I know I'm demanding, but I'm demanding of everybody. And I don't think I'd be doing him any favors by coddling him. But the thing that I constantly try to do with him is remind him of what he does that's good so he can try to replicate it. I think that's the best way to learn for a guy like that with the lack of knowledge base.
He said he's seen 1 or 2 reps in practice where it clicks.
I tell you what, when it clicks, you're like, he's got natural God-given ability. So he just needs time. I mean, there's a lot of guys there's guys that get drafted in high rounds that need time. Here's a guy that, like I said, only put on football pads 4 times. So I'm pleased with Roy, and I tell you what, you couldn't meet a better young man. I mean, he was talking to Tony, the assistant, and Tony's 10-year-old son, and he introduced himself to Tony's son. He goes, "Oh, I've caused your father many, many troubles because of his mistakes." I mean, he's witty enough to make light of, his errors, but he learns from them. So I just challenge him, hey, relax and try to have fun on Thursday. I think that'll be the best way to get the best out of him on Thursday.
Give us a rundown of what you've seen from Kayvon here and what sort of, the focus is on with him.
Yeah, it's been great kind of watching from one day to the next how much he attacks the little details of the game. This time of year, an important thing at training camp, because you have all these days, and it's building it up one day at a time. The thing that he does really well is he identifies a weakness in his game that he showed on tape the day before, and he works tirelessly until the next practice to go improve that and eliminate that as a weakness and turn it into a strength. So it's little things like his footwork, his hand placement, how he attacks a tackle in his rush. All these things from one day to the next, you're really seeing him diving into the details, just devouring every piece of practice tape he can get to just work on, hey, this is what we're going to improve on today. Tomorrow is going to be a new set of challenges. Go attack those one day at a time. And he really just has a passion for those details of the game, and you see that day in and day out.
The last time we talked to you, Kayvon was much newer. We talked a lot about his personality. Why'd you pick him? Well, the big personality. He doesn't seem to show a lot of that on the field. You know what I mean? I mean, is he more businesslike than maybe you thought he would be?
On the field, he's so focused on the next play. He's got laser-like focus on those little details, looking at what the offensive formation is, knowing his assignment, communicating other guys' assignments, and that's something he's learning to do at a really high level. developing those leadership qualities, and it takes a lot of focus, it takes a lot of concentration to do that. But also in the meeting rooms, he cuts it loose, he has fun with the guys, he's really developing a lot of bonds, and you guys know him, he doesn't lack any confidence, and he looks to shine in big moments. Yesterday, Dave's right here in the field house, gives him a basketball, he's got to make a shot to end the walkthrough, and he just steps up and drains it. Or the rookies, they got to sing a song, and he just goes up there and just brings the house down. Like, he's just got confidence. It's a great mix of confidence and humility. Everything he does, he wants to do it 100%, whether it's, a rookie task like that or going out there and setting the front and making all the communication checks. And it's great to see a guy that just dives into everything he attacks.
I presume you're talking about Thibodeau.
Yeah. Is he, we see the one-on-ones, we see certain plays, and, he looks, does he look like, when you get excited by that? I know it's things to work on, but you kind of look and say, there's two pretty good tackles he's going against too, even though one's a rookie.
For sure, those guys have been great competition for him, and part of his progression as a rusher is learning how those tackles set, learning how they use their hands, and that's going to be a weekly challenge for him when we face a new opponent. All the little details of that tackle, he wants to know those things, and it's different for everybody around the league. There might be little things here and there where this move might be more beneficial than this one. Putting my feet here might be more beneficial pre-snap than here because I know how I'm going to attack it. So all those things, I think, and we're getting great work against really the whole offensive line because they're going to bring out his best every day, and he knows if he doesn't bring it, that's going to be a challenge for him.
What do you need to... Been with him for a good stretch here. How high is his ceiling?
Right now, we're so focused on improving one day to the next day to the next day details that there's not, nobody's looking too big picture, but we're excited about that progress that he's making. And it's, the exciting thing right now that I think you can see when he's out there is he's not a one-dimensional player. He's improving so much in the run game. In coverage, he moves so well in space. And then obviously rushing the passer, but he can do it all in this defense. And with a coordinator like Wink that's creative, you're going to see him do it all. Yeah.
What do you need to see from him in game action in preseason?
The thing I'm excited about with all these guys is finishing at the quarterback. Obviously, that's something. Anytime we get too close, we're going to get an earful, right? Yeah, myself and the players are going to get an earful for that. So the goal in all those game situations is to take that next step. It's that tight finish, violent hands at the quarterback, so we can close that space, finish at the quarterback with sacks. And that's what really all those guys, that's the next level of evaluation because everything else, really like what we're seeing, it's just, obviously you can't see that with the red jerseys.
Aziz getting close?
I'll let Dave comment on that, but he's been great in meetings, great spirit, Obviously, whenever he's back, we're excited, to see that progress because he's learning the playbook really at a high level.
One time I want one of you guys to say he is a joker in meetings. He sleeps in those threes. He doesn't take any mental reps. He's
as good as it gets in the meeting room, and that's as valuable as anything this time. Is like the guys that even if they're not in for the first 5 reps, those guys that can learn off somebody else's reps, and he's definitely one of those guys. That's how you get better as much as anything.
A little eventful practice yesterday, huh?
Yeah, it's another day in training camp, so it goes.
You were pretty excited there, it seemed like.
I think what happened yesterday was unacceptable. I think Dave has made that very clear to the coaching staff and the players. It's something that won't happen again. So.
You mean like Bobby with Cam?
Yeah, just overall, everything that concurred yesterday in practice, it's just kind of unacceptable at the end. So.
Gotcha. I'll turn to the football stuff here.
Perfect.
What's Darren Beavers shown you?
Yeah, you know what I mean. He's flash. You know what I mean. He's a guy that's very instinctive. A guy that coming in as a rookie has made some flash plays. He's still got a long ways to go, and he's working hard and is going to continue to do so.
And what about Tay Crowder? Because he's a guy who was, he's played a lot the last 2 years, but you kind of know where he's standing with the new regime coming in. What have you seen from him?
He's a guy that you can tell has played a lot of football. He's a vet in my eyes with the reps he's gotten on the field, and he's shown that. He's done some really, really good things, and I think he's continuing to get better.
How do you differentiate those positions? Like, is is Blake is he the Mike, or how do you call the positions in your defense?
You know, it really you want to put the two best guys that you can put out there,
right.
and you try to match the skill set and try to put them in best positions for them to be successful, and we'll continue to do that.
So do you see like Darian as more close to Blake, or it's just he's going in because he's the next guy up? Like, because when Blake comes out, it seems like Darian's the guy who goes in.
You know what? It's one of those things we've shuffled that around a little bit, and we're just trying to find pieces that to put them in best position to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it might be behind Blake one day, it might be behind another person another day. We'll continue to just move that around and try to find the best fit for our defense.
What's it like? You were with Wink obviously in Baltimore,
Mm-hmm,
right? So what's it like coaching inside linebackers in his defense? Is it different than just maybe a typical defense?
Yeah, I think every scheme you go to has its own complexities with it. With this defense, there's a lot of things that we do, and for the inside linebackers, they've got to know a lot and be ready to, just to be able to execute what's called upon them. But it's fun. I think it's a really fun position as an inside linebacker in this defense.
What's it like just working for Wink?
Oh, he's great. Me and Wink go way back. Even when I left there in Baltimore, we stayed in touch. Since then. But yeah, we have a great relationship.
And now, when you were in Buffalo, you overlapped with Daves, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, on opposite sides of the ball. Did you have a relationship with him from there?
Yeah. No, Daves is just an overall great dude. It didn't matter if you were on offense or defense, and so we would play golf typically sometimes together, and we'd always, as a coaching staff, you always interact with it, whether you're on separate sides of the ball, So yeah, I had a great conversation with Daves.
What's it like being with him as a head coach?
It's good. You know what I mean? He's been who he is, which has been great for our staff because he's not a guy that's going to change. You know what I mean? He believes in what he believes in. He believes in having a smart, tough, dependable football team, and he's brought that here, and that's what we're going to continue to do.
And I think the best thing about Julian for me, one of the best things, I don't know if there is a best thing with him because there's so many good things, but he would do what's best for the team over what's best for Julian. He's one of those people that comes along that he really will put the team first in everything he does.
Is there one guy back there that's really impressed you, that's kind of jumped to the fore, a young guy that surprised you in terms of work?
No surprises. I think the whole group is really working. The first group has stayed together like for most of camp and have played at a pretty high level. We got to get the second group and third group to
get some reps,
play up to the standard that the first group is playing with, and that's our their growth, and my challenge is to get that second group, because we're going to have guys in that second and third group that are going to play meaningful snaps for us, and got to get those guys ready to go and playing at that same level so that when they play, it's no drop off.
And you've got the depth.
We don't have like. But
I mean, you want to have that.
Yes, you want to have that and feel good about. And those guys are growing, but gosh, I can't wait to see them Thursday night and see how they do when the lights are on. You have what you think they're going to do, and sometimes guys get in and they play better. Sometimes, quite frankly, guys get in and they shrink. I hope that this group will get in and play better. When you look at our second and third group.
Awesome. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Wink said that yesterday. He's very pleased with the first group. He's got to find the depth now. Is that your biggest challenge right now? Is getting that depth?
And it is to because there are guys in the first group who, a couple guys, that haven't played meaningful snaps for us yet, and we got to get those guys to play to the level that we want them to play, and then after that we got to get those 2s and 3s to continue to grow and get better and be more trustworthy.
Have you, Adoree is now, quote unquote, the number one cornerback. Have you seen any difference in him? How has he accepted that? How has he done so far?
I think Dory's had a great offseason, a great camp. He's just got to continue to press himself to play at a high level, to want that responsibility of being a number one corner in this league. Mm-hmm. Like some people, again, when the light gets on them, some people shrink, some people rise. I feel like Dory's going to rise up and accept that challenge and play at a high level for us.
And a lot's been made about X having the green dot, and he likes it. Have you seen him step up in terms of leadership and being vocal and those areas?
He's done a great job, again, in the off season and now in camp, being a leader, and stepping up and accepting responsibility, wanting responsibility. He's been given extra responsibility, and he's doing a great job so far.
Aaron didn't play a whole lot last year, and he's a starter now. Have you seen a big improvement in him from where he was?
Yes, he's one of the guys that I was talking about that, you expect him to make a jump and to rise to the occasion of being a starter. He's got a great demeanor about himself. He doesn't say two words, but he just goes out and executes and does his job. And he's one of those guys that even though he doesn't say much vocally, his play says a lot, and his care, the way he cares, speaks on volumes to me.
And I think a lot of us people, those outside of you, thought that there'd be a real competition for the slot, and Darnay has pretty much been the guy there. What have you seen from Darnay?
He has just played his butt off and competed hard. I think Wink's system allows him, it highlights and features a lot of what he is and what he does and what he can bring. And I think Wink has done a great job empowering him and making him feel confident. And I think it's it has been a great marriage.
And Belton's hurt, obviously, but you've got Flott out there, the other draft choice. What have you seen from him so far?
From Flott?
Yeah.
Flott's like the rest of the 2s and 3s, some inconsistencies where, he has some good plays, has some plays where, you got to get him better. And that's part of the growth of any rookie DB in this league. You're going to go through growing pains. There's some stuff you don't even know you don't know yet that you got to learn. And you hope that he's a kid, and I think he is, that he will learn the lesson once and not multiple times. Right. And so, we just got to give him a chance this preseason to play a lot, to grow, to be challenged, and see how he does. I expect him to do well.
First of all, Daniel has come in here, right? And he seemed to have, been kind of high on the depth chart soon and stayed there.
Yeah.
That's unusual for rookies because there are some veterans here.
Yeah.
Why?
We're looking for guys that are smart, tough, dependable, and he's showing those traits. And it doesn't mean that he's there. It does not mean that he's solved it all. But on a consistent basis, he's smart enough, tough enough, and dependable enough to earn those reps. And all the guys are getting opportunities, but for a young guy coming in and trying to earn a spot, he's showing those traits that we're looking for.
But that's, all coaches are careful to not give guy too much, right?
That's right.
And so obviously you don't think it's too much.
Yeah, I would just say this: yes, he's showed up in a lot of first team reps, but he's also been in third team reps, and there's no group on the team more than the tight ends that you see guys showing up in different groups, because you almost have to get some things specific to what they're best at or what you're looking to showcase that day. And so if there's a specific block he's got to get, he might go with the second group. If there's a route he might need to get that we didn't call with the ones, he might need to get it in the third group. So that shows up all over the place.
That's what they asked you about. You've practiced against Wink defense a lot. So you're something of an expert, I would think. What makes him annoying, a pain in the neck when you've been on not just this summer, a lot of summers you're doing that.
Really the multiple ways they come out at you. Stock defenses that teams throw at you and getting over front and look like the Miami Hurricanes. Well, that's not what this looks like. And so how they utilize talent, how they move them around, the multiple changing looks, it's a challenge every day. And it helps us to prepare for the season.
Jerome was saying that he empowers players.
Oh yeah.
They just say, you haven't blitzed, you're going to blitz. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You get beat, you owe us two.
Sure.
Do you see that on the defensive players? And that's something as an offensive coach you have to combat. That these guys are all very confident because that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think both sides of the ball give their players opportunities. I think Wink is unique in that I think they give them more opportunities. So, it's a fun challenge every day.
Brian, you had obviously an extended wait to get back into doing what you wanted to do. What has been the adjustment for you, and how does it feel to be back after 5 years?
Feels wonderful to be back in ball. This is what I love. This is my passion. To be with somebody like Dave's is really good to be back in ball. He was a guy that, kind of reached out and touched base to see how I was doing, what I was doing, all those kind of things, and just excited to be back.
What is your coaching style, and how does it maybe reflect what your playing style is?
Different. I think 5 years ago, my coaching style was almost exactly like my playing style. But I think with some growth and a lot of therapy and working with guys like Wink and for me, Andre Patterson just kind of mentoring me and being under him, it's been really good. It's been really different from what I'm used to.
What would younger Brian Cox think about older Brian Cox having mellowed?
You know what? I would say this. If I was at my age now at 54 and I thought like the younger Brian Cox, I'd be a fool. I'd be an old fool. So at some point you have to grow, you have to change, you have to mature. And I think that's been the case.
Can you still bring the kind of juice and impact and intensity that you brought as a player, being a mellower coach?
I can still run hot, but I think what I'm learning is nobody's trying to mess up. And, when you look at it from a player's perspective that's now coaching, like it was maybe easier for you, or some things just were natural for you that's maybe not natural for the guy that you're coaching now. So you have to have some patience, you have to have some understanding, and you have to be able to just talk to the guys. And I think if you can communicate and you could be in a situation where, you clearly lay out expectations and you get into a situation where you tell them the expectation and the standard that you're trying to live up to, then I think it becomes easy. Because great players want to be great regardless of what generation it is.
Brian, there was a report that you sat down with Kayvon Thibodeau before the draft, that you peppered him with a lot of questions. He got pretty upset at one point and walked off. Is there any truth to that? Like, how did that kind of go, that meeting?
What did he say?
He hasn't. This was just a report.
So, for me, with conversations that we've had, he's on our team. So, we like him, we love him, we enjoy him, and we think he's going to be a good player.
What's the relationship like you guys have?
Oh, we got a great relationship. We speak every day. We laugh together. We have good conversations.
There were some questions about, I guess, his maybe work ethic or, his desire going into the draft. Do you think teams made a mistake by?
I can't control what other teams thought. I mean, he's a part of the New York Giants, so obviously, that wasn't questions that we had.
Right.
And I can't speak to what somebody else may think.
What have you just thought of his overall, just, attitude and everything coming in here so far?
Very good. The guy works. He's smart. Guys gravitate to him. He's kind of a jokester. He's a lot of different things. He's not just one thing.
Andre's away from the team a little bit for what he's going through. So more responsibilities for you, I would imagine, than you anticipated. First off, how often do you talk to him? How's he doing? And what does that mean? How are you trying to carry through?
I talked to him the last couple days, and we text every day after practice. I think one of the things that kind of keeps him excited and going is that just getting the updates on what's happening. In terms of how I'm coaching or how things are going, look, it's his room. And he's done a magnificent job in the spring of getting guys to going and getting me caught up on his teaching skills and how he wants to teach and how he wants to coach. And I'm just doing it. I'm a helpmate for him. I'm the assistant. I believe strongly that there's one room, one voice, and it's his room, so it's his voice. In his absence, I'm just trying to do what he's helped me do in mentoring me and help me, and just trying to be supportive and trying to do the things. And then also other guys help in. Drew Wilkins help in. John Eggs help in with, some of the responsibilities and stuff. So really good staff, just excited.
What was your reaction when Coach Dowell reached out to you about potentially coming back?
It was good because it was going to take a situation where somebody knows me, knows my character, knows my heart. And this is the 5th time Dabo and I have worked together. He coached me in New England. We worked together with the Jets. We worked together with Cleveland. We worked together in Miami, and now we're here. So he knows me as well as anybody. And sometimes my name and my past will catch up to me, and people think they know me, the person, but couldn't be further from the truth. But just our experiences in the past allowed him to just know who I was as a person and what it was about. So happy to be here, loyal to the guy. I'm thankful for the Mara family and the Tisch family for allowing him to hire me, and I'm just trying to do the right thing by the New York Football Giants.
Brian, I apologize if you've been asked this. I know he's not necessarily in your position group, but Kayvon, as a former really good pass rusher, what do you think of this kid? How high is his ceiling?
Showing great promise. I'm not going to try to predict what he's going to be or not be. Working really hard, doing a really nice job. His personality is really good because he's versatile. He can do a lot of different things. He can have a lot of different conversations. I mean, he's a well-rounded kid, and I think his play is going to speak for itself.
Thanks,
Yep. Thank you, Bobby.
One more thing. You're heading up to Foxborough. You've obviously had some moments up there. One in particular, everyone talks about that hit that you had on Payton. Will you have any I know it's been a while, but will you have any flashbacks stepping inside that stadium on Thursday?
No. Before the stadium, though, I'm going to find me a good cigar, and I'm going to find me some Lazy Man lobster, and I'm going to enjoy it. That's one of the things I miss most about being in Providence. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I'll see some people I haven't seen and say hi to them, and some people that mean something to me that I'll, be able to just speak to, say hello, and just keep it moving.
But the other thing you hear is he still needs to develop as a wide receiver. Like, where does he need to? What areas need to fine tune?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's just something that Kadarius is doing. We're trying to do that as a whole group, and there's things that we, each one of them need to get better at individually, collectively. We all need to improve, continue to grow in this offense as we're all getting out there and doing things for the first or maybe the second time around. So just continue to try to go out there and improve each day.
There's been a lot of talk on wide receivers, and they like how much freedom in this offense for them. Like, can you explain what that means?
I can't, because I don't know what that means. I feel like that's gotten overblown. This is a very successful system that's proven in the NFL. We have option routes in this offense, just like every other team in the NFL. So we're not doing something here that Dave's has never done before, or any of these guys ever been asked to do if they've been in another system, in terms of option routes and being able to work off leverage of defenders.
Because like on the first practice when Tony made that that great catch, he said it was a conversion route to a fade. So just explain.
That's again, that's a part of every offense. I've been in a lot of systems in the NFL. We have conversion routes. Based on whatever is called in the huddle and whatever coverage the defense presents to us at the line of scrimmage, things will automatically adjust. You got to cover 2 or you got to press corner or something like that, and that is SOP in every offense. So that was really good recognition in that particular play by Kadarius, and a really good throw, and then obviously, a contested play above the rim to make that kind of play, was significant.
So the whole thing when these guys are talking about pen to paper. In the past it's been pen to paper, and this is not that. You say, well, that's...
Well, you're saying that.
No, the players have said that.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, this is a system. You guys have seen the system in action, had a lot of success in Buffalo, and other places. like I said, we have some freedom on option routes and things like that, where we're going to work off of leverage of defenders. We try to give these guys tools to win versus man coverage, and maybe that may be what they're speaking of in terms of being have available tools in their toolbox to help them win and get open and separate, because we really do emphasize separation and creating that space in man coverage. And I think that we're all trying to get better at stuff like that every day, because you're going to see a lot of man coverage in this league, and we got to have the separation that helps everybody. Helps quarterback. Obviously, when you show that you're open, you tend to get more footballs. So.
Mike, when you talk about those options, is it accurate to say there's two options? Like, it's not like the guy has 5 options when he goes to the line. It's either the one that's called or another one, or is it the one that's...
Are you asking about the quarterback, what he's saying?
The receiver, when he can change it. Can he only change it to one other thing, or can he change it to like 3 other things?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a change.
Okay.
It's really something that you're reading and reacting to on the run. And it's all based off of leverage of the defender. And in some cases, the shell that the defense, the coverage is presenting as a whole, not just the nearest defender to you. But this isn't like a blanket statement for every pass play that's called in our offense or every route in our offense. There are specific calls within the framework of the offense that would allow or facilitate those kind of option routes.
Is Wan'Dale more advanced than most rookies you've dealt with?
I think Wan'Dale is very competitively mature, very intelligent player. And you maybe have seen some of the signs. He is a pro. We're not trying to teach him how to be a pro. He's got to learn what his routine works for him now that he's got all this extra time to really devote to his craft. And he's going through that process as well. But in terms of being able to handle things as a young player, we're pleased with where he's at. Still got a long way to go.
It seems like the top of your depth chart is at least somewhat established. I'm going to say it's always competition, but like spots like 4 through 6, let's say, what are you looking for from those guys? How do those guys, earn a roster?
Right. I would say there's a competition 1 through 6 or 1 through 8, and that's not just Coach Speak. I mean, that's the God's honest truth. And we've got 3 preseason games and however many remaining practices out here, which are all being evaluated very closely. And I think the guys know that. They understand that nothing at this point is set in stone. We're looking for whoever we think the best 6 or however many Joe and Dave think is the number that we need to keep those guys, and who can give us the best chance to win. And so continuing to be smart, tough, dependable, and then getting open and catching the ball. Right. I mean, it sounds very simple, right? But then you put somebody right across from you, right, who's trying to keep you from doing that, trying to make the team as well. Then the challenge obviously ramps up. But guys that can sustain that competitive, toughness throughout the course of camp, you feel like you'll be able to depend on them on a 17-game season.
Have you had any time to be able to appreciate being here, what this represented to your family, and being so close to...
Yeah, I mean, I love being here with the Giants, for sure. I mean, being back here in New Jersey, obviously have friends and family and a lot of great memories from my childhood and growing up, and then, just being a ball boy in training camp, running around and taking care of guys that you see on some of these signs here in the Ring of Fame. And those are the guys that I grew up looking up to. So there's some significance there, but a lot more focus on the job at hand and what we want to get done here with the Giants in 2022.